It's Cageside with John Morgan.
And welcome everybody back to another episode of Cageside with John Morgan, a pre-UFC 316 rematch edition of Cageside with John Morgan. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the Maycee Barber situation. We're going to preview 316, and I've got some funny tales from the regional scenes to go over. Oh yeah, and there's a CFFC this Friday night in North Dakota. Myself and John will both be there. Check it out on the UFC Fight Pass. But without further ado, let's bring him in. His name's on the marquee. You can follow him on Twitter, John Morgan _MMA. What up, brother?
Man, weeks don't get any better than this, right? I mean, we had a holiday, we had a little break, we had some rest, some relaxation for Memorial Day. That was great, but now we're back into it. And when you're talking about a UFC pay-per-view week, which you know we always get excited with the pay-per-views because that's where the biggest fights are happening. But then you add in a CFFC event as well, and we get to pack them all into one weekend, man. It doesn't get any better than that. And as you said, some craziness. I mean, this past weekend, the UFC Apex show maybe unheralded a little bit, but you get a little bit of weirdness. And from what I'm hearing, you saw a little bit of weirdness too. So a lot to talk about. I'm excited for it.
Okay, so I'm going to let you decide where we're going to start. Do you want to hear my crazy tale from the regional MMA scene this weekend? Do we want to start with Maycee Barber and Erin Blanchfield, or do we want to start with previewing UFC?
I mean, listen, you know, every MMA show out there is going to be previewing the UFC. Every MMA show out there is going to be talking about the Maycee Barber situation. And I want to hear all of our thoughts on that. But we are going to be the only place that you get to hear your wackiness and craziness, and I want to hear about it.
Okay. Now, I got to take a step back, right? So, like, a lot of refs, I consider myself a pretty elevated ref. I consider myself a ref that is in that top tier refs, right? Or at least top tier that get to work top tier shows. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely. You're working UFC events. You're getting invited to the Apex. You know, maybe you're not at that elite Herb Dean, you know, level or whatever, but you're right below that because you're included in those conversations. You're working shoulder to shoulder with guys like that.
Okay. But myself and even guys like Herzog, Herb Dean, Beltran, you know, Blake Grice, like I put myself in the Blake Grice, Kevin McDonald area. Fair?
Agreed. Fair.
We are still working the regional AMI pro shows on the weekends regionally around us, right? We like to keep our swords sharp. And hey, every time I can ref fights, I'm going to jump on it as long as it's reputable to a degree.
Yep. Got to get those reps, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like you said, stay in practice. So
with that being said, I worked a fairly big regional promotion this week. It's called Attitude MMA. Have you ever heard of it?
Absolutely. They're on the LFA network over there on YouTube. I think you can catch their shows.
Yeah. Headlined by Jaleel Willis versus Donovan Beard.
Right.
So very high caliber main event. You know, Bellator vet, PFL vet in Jaleel Willis, Dana White Contender Series, CFFC world champion Donovan Beard, ended in a horrific injury, by the way. Donovan Beard's leg snapped on a lateral drop from Jaleel Willis, took him on a lat drop, and on the lat drop, his leg just got pinned underneath of him, and on the roll through, just crack. It was bad.
Oh, man, I hate to hear that.
Right. Okay. So Jaleel Willis gets the verbal submission, screaming pain victory. But earlier in the night, a lot of way these shows go is they're called pro-ams, right? So there's amis and pros on the same card, and then sometimes you'll throw in kickboxing matches on there just to fill the card. So there was an amateur kickboxing match, 3 2-minute rounds, and one of the fighters, great young MMA prospect. Great. And he had a fight that fell off, so he decided to take a kickboxing match against somebody else, you know. And so and he's from Law School MMA. We've heard of Law School MMA. Danny Barlow out of Law School MMA. Big fight camp here in Memphis, Tennessee. Head coached by Brian the Law Hall. Fabulous coach. He's fighting a 16-year-old kid. Now, this other kid, the one, his name is Terrell Johnson, fight booked out. He's like 18, 19, right? Okay. He takes a kickboxing match against a 16-year-old. Now, this isn't like this 16-year-old. I knew nothing about him, never heard of him before. But he is from Paraguay, Arkansas. And if anybody's ever heard that, that's where Bryce Mitchell is from.
Okay.
Eli McLaughlin, who is Bryce Mitchell's coach, brought this kid. Okay? And then he lucks into a kickboxing match like the day before or the week of the show. They set it up. Willie, who I know Willie well. I've been working the regional scenes. I've seen him at the Apex a bunch. You know who Willie McLaughlin is, right? You've heard of him before?
I have.
Right before the fight starts, he pulls me to the side. Like, he goes, Eric, come over here. And I come over. And as they're doing the intros, he goes to me, he goes, listen, I know you're going to be watching this kid closely because he's only 16. I'm telling you, I've never met a tougher kid in my life. Of all the kids I've ever trained, I've never met anybody tougher. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Please give him the benefit of the doubt. And I said, I will take that under advisement, Willie. Good to know. Now, this Terrell Johnson kid from law school MMA, budding prospect. Unbelievable, fast. He's got everything. He was training at the age of like 6. His dad was a former fighter named Terry, the Dream Killer Johnson. And anyways, this fight starts out like you think you would fight out. The older prospect is he's just blitzing him. The young kid's got nothing for his speed, his power, everything. Then round number 3 happens. And this 16-year-old kid hit another switch, and he just pressed. Like, it seemed like he was willing to just, like, kickbox with them. And then round number 3, he's like, nope, I'm fighting you now. I'm going to fight you. And he comes out, and he just is annihilating Terrell Johnson, right? Very surprisingly, knocks him down, then and has him on the ropes, and he's hurt. Knocks him down a second time. Then he's going in for the kill. Right. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is only 2 minutes. This is a long round.
Right.
This is a long round. Then Brian the Law Hall, who I really enjoy Brian. Like, we're good friends. Right. He stands up and throws a cell phone at me from outside the cage.
What?
Yeah, he throws a cell phone at me. It bounces like right at my feet, and it like actually like ends up like hitting the fighters.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, stop! What the? I separate them. I turn around, and him and the kid's father are up screaming at me. They're screaming at me, and what they're screaming, I have no idea, because like this fight had everybody in attendance on their feet. They're going crazy. And I turn around and they're like, it's the round's over time. The round's over time. And I go, I'm not the timekeeper.
That has nothing to do with me.
This fight is over. You guys lose.
Yeah.
And they start going crazy. And then I go pick up the clock, the phone. And he's got the timer going.
Right.
So I pick up the phone and I'm like, 3 minutes and 1 second, because it's still going, right? And I'm like, all right, I see what they're upset about, right? So I go to the commission in Arkansas, which is a unique experience in itself. I go to the commission, I go, you can overrule me if you want, but I only go off of what I know.
Right.
And what I know is I listen to the official timekeeper.
Yes.
He has not rang the bell or hit the 2-minute clackers yet. He threw something. I'm going to interpret that as them throwing in the towel. Therefore, this is a TKO retirement victory for the blue corner. Law school MMA loses. And he was like, yep, you got it.
Yeah.
And the timekeeper, and I go, by the way, what time do you have? And he shows me like 1:50. And I'm like, I have a cell phone in my hand that says like 3:01 right now, right? And I'm like, what in the world is going on? Now, it doesn't change my decision.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, how in the world are these two things different? And I clearly know the timekeeper's wrong. Like, I clearly know it.
Right.
Yeah, but I can't go off of that.
Yeah.
Like, he is the official timekeeper. No ifs, ands, or buts. I sympathize with law school. And so I said, you're clearly wrong. What happened here? And he's like, come to find out, every time he's never done a kickboxing match or a boxing match. So every time the law school kid got knocked down, stop the clock.
Whoa.
Right. So I do the standing 8, right? And then it's never a standing 8. It blends into about 20 seconds because then I'm like, okay, take a step over here. And he was exhausted. He was tired. He was rocked. Tip over here. Take a step towards me. All right. Are you good? I'm not going to let you take. So it blends into more time than like the 8 seconds. And then when I say fight, he would start it back up again. You do that twice. Now you get that 35, 40 second to spared, right?
Absolutely.
Hence why the cell phone jumps up on the platform, throws a cell phone at the referee. And this kid's father was pissed. And he's like yelling at me. I said, Terry, I'm not going to have you yelling at me. And he's like, I'm not yelling. I'm not mad at you, Eric. And then I said, everybody calm down. I said, I understand that you're mad, and I understand, and you have a right to be. But there is a mathematical improbability that your son wins this fight anyways. Even if he clearly won the first 2 rounds, this third round is going to be judged as a 10-7. You lose anyways.
Right.
So this is all for naught. But yes, you don't want your son taking more damage. You want your son to win and yada, yada, yada. I understand. You're right. But have you ever seen a coach or even somebody from the audience, mind you, throw a freaking cell phone at the referee?
Well, I have not, first of all. Second of all, let me just say, I mean, cell phones these days are very expensive. You know what I mean? So, I'm finding something else to throw. If I'm in that situation, I mean, we don't want to see anybody throwing anything in there, but I guarantee you, I'm not chunking my phone out there knowing I'm going to have to roll by T-Mobile on Monday morning and drop $1,000 to pick up a new iPhone. So that was a very bold move to be made there, but that's wild, man. That is a crazy, crazy story. Did you know, when it initially hit you, or did you know it was a cell phone, or you just know something hit
no
me?
idea.
No,
I just knew.
wasn't sure.
I looked back. I stopped the fight, separated the fighters. I looked back in the decision, and it clearly came from the corner. I knew immediately, clearly came from them.
That's crazy, man. That's a wild story. It sounds like you made the right call, though, man. I mean, in a situation, it's so tough, right? But it goes back to, I think that advice that you've gotten from John McCarthy before about, because not where in the rule book does it say, here's what you do when somebody steps up and throws a cell phone at you, and oh, by the way, it turns out they're actually correct about their complaint, and the timekeeper, where's that rule that you go to in section 47?
Yeah, there's no asterisk by that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to kind of interpret and make a decision on the fly that you've never made. But I feel like you made the right decision there, right? I mean, the timekeeper is the official timekeeper. That's who decides how long the bout goes and what happens. And clearly, he made a mistake. Those things happen. We've all said, right? Referees make mistakes. Judges make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. It happens. We're all human. But you can never have somebody jump in and throwing objects into the ring and interrupting and all that. So it sounds like, to be honest, you made the right call. I do understand from, the Johnson family, obviously, especially now, if you're interrupting because you're trying to save the result of the bout, that's one thing. If it's because you really are, yeah. But if it's because you're concerned for your son's safety, I get that, right? You know what I mean? I
think that had something to do with it. He didn't want to see his son taking any more punish and damage because he was taking a lot of damage and a lot of punishment that third round.
Right. But, I mean, they also had a very capable official in there who understands, you're not going to let the punishment get that long. But I get it, man. When it's your son, when it's a family member, when it's a loved one, I mean, obviously, your sensitivity is going to be a lot higher. But bottom line is, you can't do that. And I think you made the right decision. But now I got to check out the tape, man. I'm assuming I can find this on YouTube, right? I can go.
Go to LFA Fight Network.
Man.
Attitude MMA will probably be the first one on the bar. And it was a wild scene. Now, I kind of cooler heads prevail. I did a pretty good job of explaining my rationality, which everybody understood. I'm like, There is no other decision. Let's start here. There is no other decision. This is it. Now you have options beyond this, and go speak to that man over there. But as of here and now, there is no other scenario that this can go by. Because
that is, I mean, and listen, I've been around this game a long time, and I've very rarely seen appeals work, right? Because generally you do an appeal and you get before the commission, and it's like, well, that was a judgment call by the referee, and that's what we pay them to do, to be in there and to make those judgment calls. So therefore, but if you can, fully demonstrate, and again, good for them that it's on tape, they can probably just break it down and fully demonstrate that, look, the round went 2.5 minutes. Now, at that point, maybe you get a no contest at best, but this will be a situation where I probably would recommend.
And it's a kickboxing match, and neither of these kids do kickboxing.
Right. They were just trying to stay busy.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, with that being said, Brian Hall, now you know Brian Hall.
Yep.
He's a very likable guy.
Absolutely.
He's very affable. He's funny. He'll chop it up with you. He's very knowledgeable, but he'll chop it up with you. He's a good dude. I consider him a friend of mine.
Right.
I'm sitting cage side later on in the night, and he comes up and he just sits next to me and he's like, Eric, I lost control today. I threw a cell phone at you. And I go, Brian, you lost. And I turn to him and I go, Brian, you lost control today. You threw your cell phone at me. And he goes, Eric, it wasn't even my cell phone. He's like, the judge by the corner had a cell phone out. I hit the timer on it. I grabbed his cell phone and threw it at you.
That's amazing. Now I understand, right? Like, nobody would willfully throw their own cell phone, but if you see somebody else's, I'll throw your cell phone.
Yeah. I don't know if there was a judge or just somebody sitting at like the judge's table. And then the next morning, so now this is Sunday morning, I sent him a text, and I'll read it because it was pretty funny.
My goodness.
And I texted him yesterday morning. I said, you threw a cell phone at me last night. That's just what I wrote in the text. You threw a cell phone at me last night. LOL. And he goes, and he just wrote back with 3 words. That's the past.
Wait, why are we bringing up old stuff, man? Why are we talking about these old things, man? That was yesterday.
That's the past. We've moved past that. But anyways, that's my wild tale from the regional scene.
Hey, I love it. I'm glad we started with that story because there's a lot to talk about with the UFC. But come on, man. When are you going to see something like that happen? And you were right in the middle of it. I think you handled yourself right. I'm glad cooler heads prevailed very quickly. Probably helped that you guys all, had a familiarity with each other and knew each other.
I knew both coaches very well. Yeah. They know each other very well. Yeah. Everybody likes each other. There was no rivalries here. But let's recap this year alone. I've taken a blunt out of a fighter's pocket, and I've had a cell phone thrown at me.
Come on, man. I mean, hey, when we talk about go support regional MMA, you know what I mean? You're not getting those stories at a UFC event. You know what I mean? You may see a world title change hands. You may have some amazing moments, but you're not gonna see Herb Dean taking a blunt out of somebody's pocket, right? You're not gonna see Mark Goddard taking a cell phone.
He had a blunt and a cell phone and a lighter in his pocket, and he shouldn't have even had pockets.
That's amazing,
let alone
man.
Anything in it, let alone a blunt.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best.
Man,
my goodness. Madness.
I mean, gosh, we could do a whole podcast, and maybe we should, about stories from the regional scene.
Oh, man. They're the best.
Great idea.
It's the Wild West out there sometimes, man, especially when you go back in the day. I mean, now, obviously, at the CFFC level, we got guys that are almost to that UFC level. They're trying to break through.
I don't consider you guys a regional promotion.
Yeah. You go a little far out there on the outskirts. There's still some chaos out there to be certain.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So, anyways, that's my tale from the regional scene. And Attitude MMA is a really good promotion. So it was just kind of like it's one of those things that happened, man. And we were in Arkansas.
That's funny, man. People scrapping out there. I love it, man.
Great story. The way, Arkansas in the pro fights, they still have not adopted the grounding opponent rule or the 12-6 rule.
See, this is. Man, listen, and you know how the process of getting things changed and how many people are involved, and every state has to adopt it, and some of them have to have a board hearing or a government meeting, or you know what I mean.
But had to go through legislative.
Exactly. We got to work. I fully believe that that's one of the biggest. I mean, it may not seem like a massive problem, but I believe the fact that we have the unified rules are not unified across the United States is ridiculous. And I think it's something that's got to be, it needs to be a priority for me for the ABC, is that let's get everybody on the same page. Because again, the biggest thing for me is the traveling officials and traveling fighters for that matter. You know, if all you ever do is train, fight, officiate, whatever your role is in one state, and that is your rules, then I get it. Like, those are the rules and you adhere to them. But the fact that as a fighter or as an official, that
it's my second time ever doing it in Arkansas.
Yeah. The fact
I come in and I didn't know.
That's it. The fact that you should have to think, okay, I know that's a foul, but wait, where am I real quick? You know what I mean? You work so hard to get so many repetitions for the cage to be your home, the ring to be your home, to operate within there, to own that. Then you have to stop and think, hold on, where am I geographically speaking, and what rule set are we working under? That brief moment of hesitation should be eliminated.
I'm going to give you a weird one, too, that I didn't even realize. And they told me, and I said, listen, I asked about, luckily I said, hey, everything's adopted here, right? And then like the chief inspector, like the number 2 in the athletic commission, who was in the back while I was doing the Reels meeting, was like, no, we still haven't adopted because our legislative hasn't taken it up yet. And I'm like, oh, right. Shit, okay. And I said, anything else I should be aware of? So heel hooks. Listen to this one in Arkansas. This is I've never heard this one, right?
Never done it in Arkansas.
So a heel hook, right? Sometimes you can belly down on a heel hook, right?
Right.
You get a heel hook. Let's call it an inside heel hook, and you can belly down on. I'm actually doing it, right? So if the leg's coming across and you got the inside heel hook, and you can roll over and belly down on it. Illegal. It's illegal to belly down on a heel hook in Arkansas.
What?
But now listen to this. But you can chase the heel hook. So if the defense starts rolling, you're allowed to chase and keep rolling. But you can't just take it and belly down on it.
So you're allowed, if you're chasing on those rolls, you can still hold it. You don't have to release it when you go belly down. You can keep, what?
And I was like,
that is, I mean, like, what where was the genesis of that rule? Like, what situation were they in where we're like, we got to get rid of this. This is, I mean, kicking somebody in the head is fine, but boy, we surely can't let them go belly down on a heel hook. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
That's so bizarre. That's so weird. I know, like, when we were doing it with CFFC, you said now it's not a thing anymore, but obviously when we would go do shows in Tunica, Mississippi, I always thought that was funny that there 12 to 6 elbows were legal. Now that's legal everywhere, but it was funny at the time that, like, why did you just randomly decide like that needed to happen? You know what I mean? I always felt it was a dumb rule anyway, so good on them for being ahead of the curve on that. But it always trips me out when there's like one little rule. They're like, yeah, unified rules are fine, except here's our little local flavor that we have. Like, where did that come from? That's a bizarre one.
It was weird. And like, man, I was just dumb. But anyways, that's in the past. And that's let's look. Yeah, that's the past. Now let's look at something else in the past. This past weekend, UFC Apex. To me, we had a much anticipated fight. I love watching Apex shows because I like sitting down on a Saturday night, and it's pure entertainment for me. I like following fighters on the way up. But I'm going to be honest, like, I was very excited. I'm a big fan of both these young ladies, Erin Blanchfield, Maycee Barber. And the reason I was very intrigued with this fight is they both fight the same way, right? They are both head forward, pressure, in your face fighters. And I'm always interested when I see matchups like this, is like, who's going to be the one to step back first?
Right.
And so I was really looking forward to it. It gets canceled. Now, the day before, Maycee Barber she misses weight, and this weight cut, she looked horrendous. Agreed?
Yes, terrible. Looked awful.
And Erin Blanchfield obviously was upset she missed weight. And then the next night, apparently right before she's about to go off, it didn't get called off until the time to make the walk. Have you seen that before? Now, apparently she had a seizure in the back, or seizure complications, or I never read definitively what happened. Do you have any insight? Were you there?
I was not. This was one of the rare Apex shows that I missed. I was getting things ready for the trip to North Dakota this weekend. I just had so much work to be done. I was like, man, I got to skip this one. I got to, continue on with the preparation, but was watching it and was staying in contact when this happened with people that were in the building that were saying that, yeah, absolutely. Like she was ready to go. And to your point, has this happened before? We've had some day of withdrawals, that we've had. There was one where, and I can't remember the entrance right now, where one of the fighters was actually in the cage and the other one didn't make the walk, that happened to believe at the Apex as well. So we've had some weird situations, but it's incredibly rare, right? It is incredibly rare. And yeah, we don't have the definitive. As the time that we're taping this, we don't know everything. We know that she did go to the hospital. I did hear that, she had been checked out fine by the doctors. Everything was good to go. She was like, the package played for the main event. She was being queued up to walk out. She was walking first, and then she wasn't, and then she didn't walk. And I had heard initially that she came. I've heard conflicting reports of whether she walked back to the locker room or she was pulled back to the locker room. But I'm sure those details will come out. So far, she's basically just gone public and said, "Hey, was Belt a bad hand? We'll get through this." But it was told that, yeah, there were seizure-like, observations. Whether it was a seizure, who knows, what the actual medical evaluation, but it appeared that way to the doctors. And so she's getting checked out. So crazy situation. The first thing that comes to your mind, obviously, is let's hope she's okay. I mean, she's still a very, very young athlete. And I know that she's going to catch a lot of grief for this. And, listen, it's the unfortunate part of the game, right? Like, she was talking some trash building up to it. And I guess, Erin Blanchfield had said, I was a little scared about this fight because, she's had a tendency to not show up to fights. And, Maycee took a lot of offense to that and was like, hey, stop running your mouth, like I'll be there. And then obviously she isn't. So she's going to catch some grief. And I understand that. And that's just part of the trash talking game. But first and foremost, as a human being, you just got to hope she's okay and that she's healthy. I'll tell you what the first thing that came to mind, again, nobody knows exactly what happened yet. It made me wonder if maybe there was a panic attack, right? And I think you got to know after her last fight, she was in the hospital for like a week and a half. And really, she's had some health issues and all that time since. That's why she's been off. And I just wonder if somehow if she's about to make that walk. I mean, yes, she's dealt with it and she's gotten through it and she's dealt. But, you get there and it's all those emotions and feelings. And I don't know if you've ever had a panic attack. I had one time. It's happened to me once. And it was weird. It was the weirdest thing. It was in an airport of all places. I mean, me, that's got like 2 million miles. But for whatever reason, I just had this panic attack, and it feels like heart issues. It feels like, it's a weird sensation. It's called a panic attack, but it's really not about mentally. It's like physically your reaction to it. I just wonder if maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know that. I'm not saying it is, but it was the first thing I thought. It was like, I wonder if just all that she went through and all that she dealt with after her last hit her at the moment that she was about to make that walk, and she wasn't able to. So we'll find out. Erin Blanchfield said, look, I'm not doing this fight again. Don't try to pair me up. We're moving past it. Don't blame her one bit for that. I will take a little bit of, and I'm an Erin Blanchfield fan, right? I mean, I've called grappling with her. I've called, she's a CFFC vet. I'm a fan. But she did say that, hey, I feel like this was unprofessional of Maycee. Now, if she was talking about missing weight, then absolutely that is unprofessional. We all agree as fighters, that's, rule number one, basically, you got to make weight. So if you want to say that, if having a health issue, I don't think you can call unprofessional. I think that's a little bit out of her control. But again, emotions were high. She was ready to fight. She was probably tired of Maycee talking trash about her. And so I don't blame her for saying it. But I would say the unprofessionalism stops, where the health issues begin, where I don't think she had any control over that. So weird situation.
Valid. I mean, if you think they're valid to a degree, like if you think the emotion and the adrenaline and everything got the best of you, then it's like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. First, it's like, it kind of became a little bit like taboo, off top, this should be off subject.
Yep.
But given everything, and you know it as well as I do, it's hard to turn that switch off. When that switch has been turned on and you're about to fight and you don't fight, it's not like these fighters can just be like, turn it right back off and
100%.
press out, right?
Yep. You are 100% right.
So I give a lot of grace to Erin Blanchfield in those post-fight comments. And a lot of people I've seen online, like low class and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, you just don't get the mentality then. Like, there's no way for you to put yourself in that situation of having 6 to 8 weeks of camp, dieting, mentally moving towards one moment. And even if you're disappointed in the moment, that's like if I was like excited for a trip, right? I'm excited for the moment it gets pulled out from me. Now this is going into hand-to-hand combat with somebody where you have to shift your mental focus in such a way of callousing your mind and your body and your emotions, and you callous all of that leading up to this one moment. It's not like you're just like uncallous everything. Boom.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you, because this isn't even like it was canceled on fight week or it was canceled the morning of. Like, it's canceled as you're walking out of the locker room. Like you said, that mentality, that mindset, that energy that you have to have at that point to think that you're getting an interview 5 minutes later and you're all cool. Like, I'm sure if you talk to Erin Blanchfield today, she'd be like, listen, I'm disappointed. I was annoyed, but, I hope Maycee's healthy at this point. You know what I mean? Like, because at that point, you've had some time to come down, but you're 100% right to just flip that switch. I mean, you see it even with people that, like, get into a fight and they go out and they have, like, a 12-second knockout. Even then, it's like, I need that release, and I'm ready to go. Like, I need to fight again. Like, line somebody else up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, 100% agree with you. So I think that's an important point to make, because while I didn't necessarily agree with the comments, I don't hold any, don't hold her to it as like, oh, how could you conduct yourself in this way? It is 100% justified and understandable.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate it happened, because I was tremendously looking forward to that fight. I mean, I think Maycee Barber could have gotten a shot with the win there. Erin Blanchfield was right back in the conversation with the win there. And these are two girls that I think a collision course with them has been in for a long time. Very similar fighters, very similar age. And I agree with Erin Blanchfield saying, I'm not fighting this again. I'm done with her. She lost her opportunity aside from the health issues, but just missing weight.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So, yeah, don't blame her one bit. And, I think if it does happen down the line, there'll be a title involved. I mean, that's the only reason, right, that you would accept it, is either A, Maycee Barber is the champion and you want to be it, or you're the champion and Maycee Barber has made herself as the clear number one contender and you can't avoid it anymore, even with your concerns and frustrations, because that's the title fight that the UFC is putting together. But if it's not for title implications, completely understand, that she could say, listen, ruined my night, didn't make weight, was talking trash about me on top of all that. Like, I'm not interested. Completely understand. I think if they do meet and there's title implications down the road, it'll have an amazing story around it. You know what I mean? But first and foremost, it's just like making sure that Maycee Barber is okay and that whatever the issue was, it gets addressed, because she had a ton of health issues coming into this, and you hope it's not compounding on that. Erin Blanchfield's management did come out and say that, hey, the UFC told us they're paying us our show and our win money. So good on that. At least financially, she took a step in the right direction. But to your point, she didn't get to move forward in her career, right? Like, you can't look at this as a win. You just look at it as like you didn't compete. And right now you've got another number one contender in the division. You've got, potentially the 115 champ moving up as well. So, I mean, it's frustrating for her because she didn't get to advance her career, but at least she did get to go home with 2 paychecks.
Not a bad Saturday at the end of the day.
Not a bad Saturday.
All right, let's look forward. UFC 316 from Newark, New Jersey, the Prudential Center. We have the rematch. Merab the Machine Dvalishvili making his second defense of his world title against the man he took the title from, or not took, he won the title from in the Suga Show, O'Malley. Now, a lot has not even been talked about Merab here. And a lot of the focus is all talking about this alleged complete transformation of O'Malley. I wonder what we make of this.
It's interesting, right? Because I'll be honest with you. When this first
I'm sorry, I should have told everybody, like, no more smoking weed.
Right.
No more social media. No more gaming. No more. I mean, he is dialed in. Like, everything he occupied his time with before, he cut all of that out. All of it.
Yeah. So when this rematch was first announced, I wasn't really thrilled about it. I feel like we just saw the fight not that long ago. I feel like Merab Dvalishvilli won it pretty convincingly. And I feel like the bantamweight division has a lot of really talented athletes in it that are all kind of, huddling around there and want their shot at the belt. Now, that said, Sean O'Malley is a superstar, so I kind of understood from the UFC's perspective. It's like, hey, this is one of the biggest names that we have out there. Let's get him back in a title fight. Maybe he can right the right. I was like, kind of lukewarm on it. But then when there was all this discussion of the transformations, I got to be honest with you, it really did get me more excited about the fight because it's still an incredibly difficult stylistic matchup. That hasn't changed. We talked about that the first time around, right? I mean, we were telling people, listen, we know you're probably a Suga Show fan. Who isn't? But if you haven't been watching Merab, prime for an upset here. So, I mean, it's still that challenge, right? But how many times in rematches have we heard over the years, the guy that loses goes, man, went back and watched the tape, know what I did wrong that night, made the adjustments, we're good to go. And you're like, did you really? Really? You just think it was a small tactical, error? But for Sean O'Malley to say, man, this forced me to reassess every aspect of my life and how I'm spending every moment and every ounce of energy that I have. And am I doing it to the fullest to make me the most effective athlete and fighter I can be? And I had to admit I wasn't. And so I made wholesale changes. So I got to be honest with you, at least from me, and it seems like it's truthful in that, this isn't him just talking in the media. It seems like he really has made wholesale life changes and focus changes. I got to be honest. I'm more excited about this fight now, knowing that, than I was when it was first put together. Does it change my pick? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I got to be honest.
Vegas is at -3. What is it? -320.
I'm telling you. And Merab is still the machine, man. I mean, Merab is still that guy. I did get a chance to go see him working out earlier this week. The UFC held a media day over at Syndicate, and he was in great spirits, as you would imagine. He showed us the toe that had been injured, and it looked fine at that point. And he was like, "Come on, man! I got 9 others. That's not going to stop me." And he's just in the spirits that he is. Merab is an absolute. The Machine is literally the best nickname in all of sports when it comes to being an accurate representation of that fighter. You know what I mean? But I am more intrigued by this because Sean O'Malley, he is dangerous, right? I mean, he does have incredible striking. He can catch you. The timing, the power, the speed, the precision, everything that he has can still be problematic. And you got to think, you're going to get 5 cracks at it, right? Like Merab, he's never going to stop. But he's not known as a big finisher, right? I mean, he's known as kind of a guy that's going to outwork you over the course of 15 or now at this point in his career, 25 minutes. So Sean is going to get 5 cracks at being on his feet and landing that knee up the middle or timing that uppercut or making one defense and showing off a little jiu-jitsu in a scramble or landing something big. So it's still like, even though I like you said, the odds are big, and I'd still, if I'm making a pick, it's probably Merab. I don't think you can look at it as like, and there's absolutely no chance for Sean O'Malley to win. He's not dangerous.
But he don't smoke weed no more, John.
I know that. And listen, it does get me excited because at least I'm sure you feel the same way. At least making changes like that, I feel like you're being honest. Like sometimes I just feel like I see rematches, people just aren't honest with themselves. They don't fully assess what happened, and they don't really look at the root of the problem. It's just like, well, I wasn't feeling myself that night or whatever it may be. And you're like, come on, man. This to me feels like him. Tim Welch is his longtime friend and coach. It seems like he's like, hey, we had to make assessments and we had to change and we had to approach. So I am more excited about this fight than I was when it was first announced. I still expect Merab Dvalishvilli to walk out of there as champion.
And let's not forget, O'Malley had a torn labrum in his hip in first fight, right?
That's huge.
It is huge. I mean, does it change the fact that I think that he's going to get the takedown? Does it change the fact that no, it doesn't change. I mean, I think O'Malley's going to get taken down in this fight. I think it's going to be extremely hard for him to get up. I think he's going to get taken down again. But to your point, like, O'Malley's predicated on movement and cutting weird angles and sniping in and out and being unpredictable in those things. And there is some legitimacy is when you have a torn labrum in your hip, are you doing that to the best of your ability in fight number 1? So is your probability of catching that lucky shot, and not say lucky, is your probability at catching that shot, let's just say it in any given fight against a guy like Merab, 50% that you land a big shot. Now with that, it's probably more like 20%. Like that's just the realism of the conversation. Does it change the fact that Merab was a favorite in the first fight and did what a lot of people said he was going to do? No. And it doesn't change the fact there. But the probability of catching the shot that will put him down now grows probably 10x.
Absolutely. And Sean has talked about too that, hey, like, look, because of that injury I suffered, like we really couldn't wrestle getting ready. Now, look, is your wrestling and training camp getting you to the level of Merab? Like, no, I mean, Merab is like elite at that point, but at least you still want to be having those reps, going through, getting that muscle memory, just getting your body in that place and your mind, that place where, it's just instinctual at that point because you've executed that game plan so many times in the gym, and he wasn't really able to do that. And I think he's kind of said, listen, I probably shouldn't have taken that fight, but it was headlining at the Sphere, and I knew that was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'm the Suga Show, I'm the star. I want to do that, so there's no way I'm saying no. So listen, I've been a Merab Dvalishvilli fan from day one, man. The way he fights is amazing to me. When and I think people are seeing it now that maybe didn't understand it on the way up, like how much. When you literally do not have to think about fatiguing 1 second, it changes and frees you to just be like, hey, I can go 100% at all times. I never have to worry about conserving energy. And that's what that guy has. And that's special. So
that's cool, the other way for this opponent.
Exactly, right? It's 100% on the opposite. So to me, I've been a huge Merab fan, and I still expect him to walk out of here as champion. I think he's that good. But it does get a lot more intriguing to me, and Sean O'Malley is dangerous. Sean O'Malley doesn't have to win 3 rounds. You know what I mean? He only has to win 1 round. He only has to win 1 second. He only has to win 1 moment of the fight to walk out of there as champion, and that's dangerous. When you're facing somebody like that, is a little bit scary thought of, hey, I can be winning 23 and a half minutes of this, but in that last 90 seconds, I make 1 mistake, and I catch a big knee up the middle. I get clipped with a big shot, whatever the case may be, and all that was for naught. And that's the type of danger that Sean O'Malley brings to the table. So, again, my pick was Merab the first time they fought. It's going to stay Merab the second time they fight this weekend on Saturday night. But I'm a lot more intrigued by it, knowing everything that's gone into this. And I do think there will be some moments of tension in there. Don't be surprised to see Merab get touched once or twice and have to battle through some adversity and get wobbled a little bit. But so far in his career, he's been able to do that.
And Merab got hit a lot versus Nurmagomedov, too.
Yep.
Who's not drawing the same leverage and power that O'Malley is. So it's interesting. I'm interested to see. I'm going to tell you that I am very interested to see that fight, just to see how it'll unfold, especially with the wholesale changes made by O'Malley. But what I'm really looking forward to on this fight is Julianna Peña and Kayla Harrison.
Love it.
And this Kayla Harrison, have you seen the odds?
Massive. I mean, over -600, right? Like -625, I think.
Now I'm on DraftKings right now. I think it's DraftKings that I pulled up. Yeah, but she is a -620 as of Monday at 12 o'clock Central Time. -600. Now, this is going to be interesting to see what the live odds change if Kayla starting round number 2, then starting round number 3, 4, and 5. We only have to look back 2 years ago. Larissa Pachenko, I believe who it was, who withstood the onslaught and then came on and ended up kind of battering Kayla Harrison. Now, Kayla Harrison is 2 years removed further into her career. She's more seasoned as a fighter. She has a lot more. But Julianna Peña, she's not as maybe cardio driven as Merab is, but she may be the woman version of it. This girl ain't gonna stop. I mean, that's what she did to
Amanda Nunes,
right? I think that these odds are I don't agree with them. I agree that Kayla Harrison's the favorite, but I know the track record of Julianna Peña. I know the track record of her. I know that she is a machine also. I called the first upset of Amanda Nunes because I just knew that you get through that first number round. Hey, yeah, and you knew I called it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling the upset here, but Julianna Peña should not be a minus 600. I don't believe, or she could come out and get head and arm choked in the first round like Holly Holm did, and it's a wrap. I don't know, but you get out of that first round, this fight is different.
Yeah, well, listen, if you looked at the odds and they told you, Eric, these are the odds for the first 5 minutes, and then we've got different odds for rounds 2 through 5, you'd probably be okay with that, right? I mean, you probably, she's a minus 600 in the first round. Okay, that's fair. I got you on that one. And listen, this is coming from, I might as well be the president of the Kayla Harrison fan club, right? Like, I love me some Kayla Harrison. I have since her World Series of Fighting, her early days. I'm like, you people don't understand how incredible she is. 2-time Olympic gold medalist, the power, the mentality that she has, the mindset that she has, the way she struts around American top team. Oh my, the way she walks around the gym, an American top team, just shit talking every dude in there, right? I mean, just running the place. It's amazing, right? I mean, she is incredible. And that's not even talking about who she is outside of the gym, right? And just what she's done in her family, what she's had to survive, adopting her sister's kids and the life. I mean, she's just an amazing human being, right? I love me some Kayla Harrison. But Julianna Peña is, she's got that dog in her. That's all you can say. She is tough as nails, junkyard dog. She ain't quitting. Maybe she's not as flashy as Kayla Harrison. Maybe she's not as powerful as Kayla Harrison. Maybe she's whatever you want to say. Maybe she's a little cringe sometimes when she's talking trash on the mic. You know what I mean?
Really high and tucks in her shirt.
You know what I mean? You
look like my 3-year-old sometimes in there fighting. I get my 3-year-old ready for school.
She's tough as nails, though. So yeah. I again, if I'm making a pick, if I'm just straight up John Morgan, who's going to be champion on Saturday night, I'm going to say Kayla Harrison. Like, again, and I am a Kayla Harrison fan through and through. But let's not forget, we're talking about the durability of Julianna Peña, and let's not forget this weight cut is not easy for Kayla Harrison. Everything that she was doing outside the UFC started at 155. And then went to 145, and now you're all the way down to 135. And for the longest time, she talked about the fact that she didn't want to make that cut, but she understood that to prove that she's the best in the world, which is her goal, she had to be in the women's bantamweight division because she had to beat these names. It's not easy for her. She does it professionally. She doesn't do it. It's not like she's one of these people that just cuts in the last week. Like, it's a lifestyle for her. She's dialed in for 12 weeks, 16 weeks. She does everything right. But it's still hard for her. She's a powerhouse. She's a brick house. So to get down to 35 is not easy for her. But just lends even more to, if this fight is over in round 1, maybe even round 2, there's no doubt in my mind that Kayla Harrison is walking away with the belt in her hands. But if this thing goes to 3, 4, and 5, not that she can't win it there, but it really does start to favor Julianna Peña. So,
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this publicly right now. This gets to round number 3. If we enter round number 3, Julianna Peña is winning this fight.
I can't argue with you there. I can't argue with her. Now, again, I don't want to. Kayla, Olympic gold medalist, not once but twice. In any sport, in any realm, you do that, you're special. You got a special mindset. You got a special physical ability. We've seen what she's done in her mixed martial arts career. She did have the slip up against Larissa Pacheco. A lot going into that. She'd already beat her twice. Did she maybe prepare like she shouldn't have? Who knows? It was just a night. She'll never make excuses. I think she has all the physical tools to beat Julianna Peña, but the later this fight goes, you are 100% right. Julianna Peña will not quit. She will not quit at all. She will not give up. You can bruise her. You can batter her. You can beat her up. She can be bloodied, swollen. She's still moving forward, and she's still going to try to fight. So if this thing goes late, you are going to feel a momentum shift in this fight. No question about it.
And I am here for it. This is why I'm so excited for this fight. Now, the main event, it could change in any moment, right? But we know what we can look for. Merab's not stopping. He's going to be the aggressor. You're probably going to get a takedown in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Unless Sean clips him coming in on one of those rounds.
Yeah.
And then it could be over. This fight is the complete opposite end of the spectrum, because once that middle of the round changes, that fight, the betting odds are going to severely then start going a different way. And that's 100%. What I see happening. I don't want to make a prediction here. But Julianna Peña, she is that dog. And here's the simple reality of the situation as I see it. Is once that first shot attempt or that first takedown is shucked or sprawled on effectively or whatnot, man, that energy level is now and the minute she's not getting the first one, maybe the second one, then this is 100% different fight.
And I'm telling you right now, by the time it comes fight night, because I think a lot of people probably feel the way we do, but fight week, I mean, press conference, face-offs, media day, like Merab and Sean, like Merab's not a big trash talker. He's not a big talker at all. And meanwhile, Sean O'Malley, because of the position he's in coming off a loss, I don't think he's going to be talking a lot either. I think this is more about let me just go in there and get back what's mine. Julianna is going to talk. She has been talking. She will talk. She will be the one that is carrying the press conference, carrying the media day. She'll go at it, and Kayla is not afraid to bark back a little bit at her as well. Now, she'll probably try to ignore some of it and just be like, it's nonsense. But, the fun stuff, all the additives outside of just the fight itself, which, you and I get more excited, I think, about what happens inside the cage. But the stories around it make it fun. It's what builds the atmosphere. And I think these two are going to be carrying it. And so I think a lot of people are going to be perhaps even more excited by this co-main event than they are the main event. There's big stakes for Kayla Harrison. Amanda Nunes has already kind of said, teased maybe that she's making a little comeback. Obviously, they're former training partners. There's a whole lot of storylines there. Kayla wants to prove she's the best in the world. I mean, there's a lot that can come out of this. But, man, you look at those odds. And then, again, I understand them. I do. I am a big Kayla Harrison supporter. But if you are counting at Julianna Peña in anything in life, you were doing yourself a disservice because she does not go away under any circumstances. So this could be a very, very interesting co-main event for sure.
All right, now let's round out the main card because this is a phenomenal fight card. This card is phenomenal. Vicente Luque, Kevin Holland, who does this guy fight every weekend? It seems
every weekend. Just put Kevin Holland on, just sign him up. Just book the plane ticket for the next fight, man. He'll be there. I love it, man. This dude is, and he always puts on a show, right? Kevin Holland is one of those people. When you get to that point where you're like, what winning streak or losing streak is Kevin Holland on or now? I don't know.
Who knows? Who cares?
Don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, Nick Diaz would get announced for a fight. You're like, yeah, but Nick's lost 2 straight, so I don't know. No, you're like, all right, let's go. Carlos Condit back in the day. I mean, just guys that are like, dude, I want to watch him fight. So great to see Kevin Holland on this card. He's a welcome addition anywhere.
Mario Batista versus the PFL Bellator. Call him Bellator guy. The Bellator guy. Patchy Mix coming in, promotional debut, a lot of fanfare behind him. And then to round out the main card, Joe Pfeiffer, Kevin Gastelum. Out of those remaining 3 fights, Luque, Holland, Batista, Patchy, Kelvin, and Joe Pfeiffer, which fight are you looking forward to most out of those 3?
It's so hard because there's 2 different reasons for me. And no disrespect to Luque and Holland, love both those guys. They're exciting. But it's either A, Gastelum versus Pfeiffer because those 2 dudes are just going to go out and absolutely throw down. And Pfeiffer has the ability to put your lights out in a second, but Kelvin Gastelum has the ability to just endure incredible amounts of punishment and also never quit. So that's going to be either, a vicious finish one way or the other or a hell of a war. So that one is exciting. But for me, man, Patchy Mix, I know a lot of people may only watch the UFC. I get it and I understand it. But if you watch things outside of the UFC, you understand how good Patchy Mix is. He may be the best bantamweight on the planet. You know what I mean? I mean, him and Merab have trained together, and they've respectfully said, I love the fact that Patchy, once he signed with the UFC, went to Merab and was like, hey, love you, brother, but I want to be champion, so we might have to do this someday. And anybody that's seen Patchy in Bellator or in the gym understands how good this guy is. And he, to step in on a UFC pay-per-view main card against Mario Batista, who, and I know you're a champion of Mario Batista as kind of like the unheralded, unappreciated guy in the division sometimes, maybe disrespected a little bit as of late. This is not an easy fight for Patchy Mix, but, Patchy believes he's the best in the world, and now he's getting a chance to prove it. And so I'm very, very intrigued by that because his skills are there. And he's been around the UFC, right? I mean, that helps, right? Being with Tatiana and going through a fight week and, feeling the energy, like that helps a lot, right? I mean, because UFC jitters are a thing. Everybody will tell you before their debut that it's not, and then they'll tell you after the debut that it was, that there's just a little bit different energy around it. Fortunately, he's been around it a lot.
Brighter.
Just a little bit brighter. It's a little different, but fortunately, he's been through it a lot, right? And so I think that's going to help with his comfort level and maybe not letting those kind of jitters in that moment get to him. But it's still, you still got to go out there and do it, right? You still, in your head, you have that second of like, damn it, I said I belong here, but do I really? Or, what do I got to prove? You just have those little moments. Now he's a driven, confident individual. He's incredibly good. His self-belief is on another level, but you just have to worry about those moments. What if you go out there and slip on a banana peel? So, I mean, this is a big injection into an already very, very talented division. So if I could only pick one of those last three and you're only going to let me watch one of them, the other two I can't see, I probably want to see the debut of Patchy Mix against Mario Batista.
I disagree. Now, not of the one I would pick, right? But listen, I mean, sign me up for a Patchy fight every day of the week. That dude is that good. Batista, I mean, you kind of hit it right on the head with like kind of where he stands in the public perception and in the division, right? Now, this is a rebooking from a fight that didn't take place, some health concerns or something of that remind me. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Joe Pfeiffer had to pull out of the fight.
Yeah, the man had some tainted water down in Mexico that had him feeling not so great on fight.
I'm never fighting outside of America again. Yeah, I remember that now. Okay. Yeah. Joe Pfeiffer is, I mean, when he first came into the UFC after his first one or two victories, I said, listen, this guy, watch out. This guy. And then he had a hiccup. I forgot who he lost to.
Hermanson, I believe, right?
Was it Jack Hermanson? Yeah, I think you are correct, actually.
Make sure I'm not crazy in that. Yeah, Jack Hermanson. Yep.
Okay. Now, the reason I am tremendously excited about this fight is what Kelvin Gastelum are we going to see? Which one?
It's impossible to know. It is impossible. I love me some Kelvin guys. I love me some Joe Pfeiffer as well, man. Absolute, stud with the power. But yeah, Kelvin Gastelum sometimes comes out there and looks flat. You know what I mean? And you're like, is gosh. And then sometimes he comes out there and he beats D-Rod. You know what I mean? Or he has a Hall of Fame fight against Israel Adesanya. Or you never know. He's been around for so long. He's been through wars. He's been through battles. He's literally fought everybody. You never know which weight class is right for him. I mean,
he doesn't know which weight class is right for him. I do. It's 185. That's the weight class that's right for you. Right?
It is.
Here's where So Joe Pfeiffer is this big, imposing dude who's going to come at you and he's going to try to knock your head off your shoulders. And then if we get good Kelvin, he's a shifty dude. He's got lots of cardio. He doesn't stop. He's in, he's out, pop, 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 boom, and he's shifting. If he's that, it's in my opinion, it's going to be hard for Pfeiffer to catch him.
Yes.
But if he's in the mud, like like more often than not lately, then this could be vicious. And I don't know, but either way, I'm excited to see it.
No, I agree with you. That's why it's so tough. Like you're looking at it for two totally different things. Like if out of those 3-pack of fights on the main card, you're saying which one has the highest propensity to be a fight of the night or a performance bonus, to me it's Gastelum Pfeiffer. I'm throwing Patchy just because of the long-term implications in the division and where I think he'll stand. But it's just like, hey, let's take rankings out of the equation. Let's take future title shots out of the equation. Let's just let's go in the backyard and throw two dudes out there and just throwing down. It's Gastelum Pfeiffer all day, man. That has the ability.
Fight. It's going to be a violent fight. These are both violent guys. And that's why I'm excited to see it. And what a spot opening up opens the main card, right?
I think right now the main card, let's say shuffle, the main card will be Luke A. Holland and then Batista and Mix and then Gastelum Pfeiffer. So it'll be right before those title fights. It'll set the stage for those title fights.
Well, if I was booking, I would make this the opening to the main card. That's where I would put it, because you want that like almost people's main event. Like I view this as like the violence that's going to start, get everybody, you open the first pages of the book, man, it's got to catch your attention, so that's why I put this fight on first. But gosh, it's going to be violent either way. Good Kelvin, bad Kelvin, it's going to be violent.
It really is, man. There should be some fun cards. I was looking at the way they set up the prelims too. The final two prelims, you got flyweight of Bruno Silva and Joshua Van, which Joshua Van is as good as it gets. His striking is so fun. And then you talk about violence. That Johnny Walker and Azamat Mirzakhanov. I mean, that one is going to end badly one way or the other. It got some fun fights on this card, man. It really should be fun. It's, for all the criticism that we hear sometimes of the Apex cards, and this Apex card this past week ended up being pretty entertaining and obviously very interesting at the end. They stack these pay-per-views, man. They really stack these pay-per-view events. And so I am looking forward to Saturday night, making the journey home from North Dakota and settling in and watching this play out, because there's some really, really intriguing fights, man. I'm excited for it.
Before all those fights, we are in North Dakota, up on the res up there. Beautiful, by the way. Unbelievable. Gorgeous, you guys haven't seen land like this if you've never been up there. Fun night ahead of us. Friday night, UFC Fight Pass. Tell us about it.
Yeah, great card, man. 9 p.m. Eastern, CFFC 143. We got a couple of title fights in there. Number one, Bilal Hassan, the undefeated flyweight champ. This kid, 23 years old, man, and just capable of putting your lights out. His last performance just looks so mature. It's like, we talk about the chaos that's in there. He's a striker at heart. Obviously, he's rounding out his game, but his striking is so creative and so fun, so fast, accurate, and he's just picking his shots in there. Like, it's just unfolding in slow motion for him. So at his young age, bright things ahead for Bilal Hassan, I believe. But Jason Eastman trains an American top team. He had a little flex on social media a few weeks back, and he's posted a picture, and it's him, Pantoja, Horiguchi, and Adriano Moraes just after a training session. Like, damn, that's who you're going with on a daily basis. You're getting better. And Jason Eastman is just saying, listen, I know this kid has all the hype around him, but I want this. This is the kind of fights I want. I'm coming to steal that man's shine. He's got great wrestling, but obviously, again, training an American top team. So he understands the assignment, and I think it's going to be a great title fight, man. So that's our main event. Co-main event, Buddy Braveheart Wallace stepped in on short notice to face Chris Brown for an interim middleweight title. Kyle Dawkins was supposed to be here defending his belt against Chris Brown. Kyle Dawkins had to step out of it. Buddy Wallace stepped in on short notice. Buddy Wallace has been on Dana White's Contender Series before. He's gone a nice run right now. I think 8-1 in his last 9. Meanwhile, Chris Brown, a guy that's had a lot of wins, got to the PFL twice, suffered setbacks there, but has just been right below that. And he's like, man, I'm just getting better and better and better. And they're going to be fighting for an interim middleweight title, which you would assume would set up a unification bout with Kyle Dawkins somewhere down the road. Great fight there at middleweight as well. So 2 title fights in the main event, but a 6-fight main card that looks like it should be fun. At CFFC, we always got a lot of talent on there. And as you said, making the way out to North Dakota, man, it's it is gorgeous up there. I did not know what to expect the first time we went out there to Four Bears Casino and Lodge, but it's just absolutely gorgeous out there, man. So honored to be heading back out there this weekend. And they said we'll have those on Friday night and then come home and watch a heck of a UFC event on Saturday.
Let's be honest. It is a star-studded affair up in North Dakota this weekend, CFFC. Holly Holmes making special guest appearance up at the casino. The karate hottie, Michelle Waterson, is going to be your broadcast partner. So let's recap this. We have Holly Holm, Michelle Waterson, John Morgan, and Eric McMahon, star-studded.
I mean, there may have been a fall-off somewhere on that list in the level of it. But, yeah, I'm excited to work with Michelle Waterson. Obviously, CM Punk will be our guy forever, but the WWE schedule has him real busy right now. Dean Thomas has been filling in quite a bit for us, and Dean does a fantastic job, but he's obviously working the pay-per-view this weekend. So we were like, who else could we bring in? And yeah, Michelle Waterson. I mean, I'm gonna tell. I don't even know if we can call her the karate hottie anymore. I'm gonna tell her on air. I think we gotta start calling you Hollywood hottie, right? She's out shooting movies and making the transition in her post-fighting career. But I'm really, really excited to work with her for the first time. Obviously, I've followed her career and covered her career, known her for years and years. But this is the first time we call fights together. So really looking forward to it, man. I just, like I said, you and I get amped up for pay-per-view fight weeks. I get amped up for CFFC fight weeks for sure, man. And you're coming out there to work, which would be great. We see each other every week here, on the internet, but to actually get to hang out for a little bit in person. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you are an actual 3-dimensional human being. Yeah. That'll be fun. So, yeah, a reason to tune in, right? Tune in to UFC Fight Pass this weekend for everybody.
Should I tell Michelle Waterson my story about her? I think I told you about it. It was kind of a wonder. It was the first time I came out to the Apex, and Nevada brought me in and said, hey, we want you to come out here, get the feel of it. We want you to shadow. Okay. And so I was okay. And then when I got there, they're like, hey, we're going to teach you replay and we're going to just, get you involved. You're going to work the pit. Michelle Waterson comes out, kind of do the whole thing. I know what I'm doing here. Mouthpiece, good. Cup. Oh, shit.
I don't think I remember that.
Oh, my gosh. I asked Michelle Waterson to see her cup.
That'd be great to see. I wonder if she remembers that, if she was so like dialed in and focused.
She laughed and fist bumped me. I was so embarrassed. I was so mortified. And I went and then sat down in my commission seat and I grabbed my phone and one of my friend, Big Mike, he's like, way to check her cup, Eric. Just like,
that is fantastic. Well, I believe if I look at the transportation schedule right, you guys are actually in on the same flight on Thursday, so maybe you can see if she recalls that story, man. That's pretty good.
Do I bring it up to her, or do I just like kind of bury that deep inside me?
I mean, you kind of just got to own it. I think what you do, you got to go out and kind of power play it. You'd be like, hey, Michelle, how you doing? You got your cup? You know what I mean? Just throw it out there just to get over it.
Good cup.
Just to address it.
I mean, if you watch the broadcast back from it, I was like, I did that. Like, I remember I watched it back. I was like right on, and it's on ESPN. I'm doing it. And I made it like way worse on myself.
I now have 2 pieces of tape to watch this afternoon as I continue my preparation for CFFC. That is fantastic. I love it. Well, yeah, listen, I mean, hopefully everybody can put that in their schedule. They can see both of us in action on Friday night, man. Come on. I mean, if you enjoy this podcast at all, why wouldn't you tune in and see you doing the work inside the cage and me doing the work on the mic, man? It should be a fun night.
Man. And then I got a busy week, and then I got PFL next week too. After that.
That's fantastic. I love it, man. Glad to hear that. That's right. They're heading out your way. PFL, man. Look, hey, PFL's getting busy, man, and they're announcing some big fights, and they got, their debut in Africa. So, we've talked about some of the headaches and hurdles they've had to battle through, public relations wise, but now that they're just getting some fights going, it seems like, they're getting some positive momentum and things moving in their direction. So it's good to see for them, because I know it was a frustrating kind of off season for them, but they're doing good things, especially on the international front for sure.
Yeah. So, well, anyways, with that being said, UFC 316 this week from Newark, New Jersey, the night before CFFC from the Four Bears Casino in the reservation in North Dakota. For John Morgan, I'm Eric McMahon. Enjoy the fights.